this lesson, we are going to go over page 38. So we're going to pick up from where we left off. We did page 37 notes and we were talking about reference angles. Now we will see how we use those reference angles. So we're going to start with example A. Now the interesting thing about doing this, you've already done this using the unit circle. Okay, so we've done the same problem, find exact values for the sine, cosine, and tangent for this angle. This is just a different way to approach trig, but it really is going to give us the same results. Okay, so if you memorize those ordered pairs from the unit circle, then you can just go through and find your answers. We're going to do similar, we're going to use the reference angles, okay, and then the unit circle. So 4 pi over 3, we know where that angle is. We could use our road map if we wanted to, but we know that belongs to the family of pi over 3's, so this theta prime is pi over 3. Now, why that's important, we basically take the ordered pair from the unit circle for the pi over 3 family. And hopefully you have that memorized or you can jot that down pretty quickly. The only thing we have to do now, that ordered pair on the unit circle is going to live in quadrant 3 where we know x's and y's or cosines and sines are both negative. So then we can answer the question. We can answer the sine of theta, and I'm going to do a little shortcut. Instead of saying sine of 4 pi over 3 all the time, because it does get to be a pain to write that, they named it theta. I'm going to call it theta, just a little shorter. The sine is the y-coordinate, so remember that unit circle is an awesome shortcut. The cosine is the x-coordinate, and then the tangent is the y over the x, or the sine divided by the cosine. The tangent always takes a little bit more work to figure it out. Okay, but it probably seems similar because we've done the same thing just using the unit circle instead of the reference angle. We called it a family. So these should be not too bad. Okay, so let's go ahead and do negative 2 pi over, or negative 210 degrees. Negative direction. This is our theta. It's negative 210. But we want to get the reference angle. And before I would just say what family, that's basically the reference angle. Since we're in degrees, we're going to stay in degrees, but that reference angle is 30 degrees. Now, why that reference angle is so helpful is because what we do is we go to that 30-degree ordered pair from the unit circle, but we know we're putting it in the second quadrant. So the x's are negative and the y's are positive. And again, I'm going to use that little shortcut since they called the angle theta instead of writing sine of negative 210 degrees. But the sine is the y-coordinate, the cosine is the x-coordinate, and then the tangent takes a little bit of work, and we did this similar in the last one. We're taking the y or the sine divided by the x or the cosine. The 2's will cancel. Negative 1 over root 3 is negative root 3 over 3. Okay, so go ahead and try C. You're going to sketch the angle, figure out the reference angle, which you probably know the reference angle without even sketching it. This one goes 8 pi over 4 plus 3 pi over 4 more. The reference angle, or the family that it belongs to, is the pi over 4 family. Why that's helpful, we steal that ordered pair from the pi over 4 family on the unit circle. The only difference is since that angle is in quadrant 2, the x's are negative, the y's are positive. So now we can answer our question. The sine is the y-coordinate. The cosine is the x-coordinate. And sometimes the tangent doesn't require much work. If you have something that you're dividing by its exact self, I mean, we could do a bunch of work to get there, but it's going to be 1, and in this case it was negative. Okay, and the last 3, they're just going to be similar, so I'm just going to work through those same problems just to give you some more practice with this. 300 degrees, I already know what family it belongs to, because it's a multiple of 60. But if you didn't know that, sketch it, figure out what's left. Okay, so this was theta that we sketched initially. Theta prime is the reference angle. So then we want to figure out the sine of theta, cosine theta, tangent of theta. The reference angle is very helpful because it helps us steal that ordered pair from the family of 60-degree angles. But in the fourth quadrant, that ordered pair will have a second coordinate, a y-coordinate that's negative. Remember, the y-coordinate is the sine, the x-coordinate is the cosine, and then the tangent is the y divided by x, which that one's going to take a little work to get negative root 3. The next one, negative 405, I'm going negative 360, and then 45 more to get to negative 405 degrees. Now the reference angle is going to be 45 degrees. So why that's so important to know that, I'm putting a degree mark on there, it's just not coming out well. We take that ordered pair that we memorized, but know that since this angle is in the fourth quadrant, the y-coordinate's going to be negative. The sine is the y-coordinate. The cosine is the x-coordinate. And again, the tangent on this one, if you take negative root 2 over 2 divided by root 2 over 2, the values are the same except for you have a negative. And the last one, 17 pi over 3, just to make one that's fun to sketch. I know that this is 3 pi over 3, so all the way around is 6. Then I'm going to go 12. 12 to 17 means I'm going to go 5 pi over 3 more. I'm going to go clear there. Now with doing all of that, I already knew what the reference angle was. It belongs to the family of pi over 3's. So theta prime is pi over 3. Now why that is important is because we are going to steal the ordered pair from the pi over 3 family, but again, since it's in quadrant 3, that's going to be negative. And if you look at this, our answers on this one are going to be identical to D. The sine is negative root 3 over 2, the cosine is a half, and then the tangent, we already did that work in part D. It came out to be negative root 3. Okay, so that should help you with the homework that is 67 to 77 odd. This is going to